disease. And what they did is they took two boxes, and one side of the box was white, one side of the box was black, and they took two rats. And on one rat, they would open the door, and on the other side, they'd put a little bit of cheese. And that rat, once that door would open, he would run to the cheese. He'd eat it up. On the other rat, on one side, the white side, once they opened that door, there'd be an electrical shock. And that rat would run to the other side where there was no shock on the other side. And so they did it round after round. The one got cheese, woo! The other got zap, cheese, and then the other got zap, cheese, the other got zap. And after they did it for a while, then they opened the door with no reward or no punishment. And the first time they opened both doors, they both sprinted across like they were used to. But when the rat found there was no cheese, he just kind of looked around and roamed a little bit. But the other rat, he stayed in that corner of the other room. And then they did it again. And there's no cheese and no zap. And pretty soon the one that was used to getting the cheese, he realized, oh, there's no cheese in there. He'll just kind of mosey around. But each and every time for hours, that rat that got zapped would buzz across. The purpose of the experiment was to demonstrate how much more powerful negative consequences are than rewards. I hope that we Christians would learn that lesson by now. Sin is good for a season. It might taste like good cheese, but at some point you're going to catch a disease. At some point you're going to hurt some people you really didn't want to hurt. At some point you're going to lose a lot more than you wanted to lose. Amen. You've been warned. And a lot of people don't see the warning. Look at verse 7. Nebuchadnezzar goes to all the wise men, and none of them understand it. We don't understand your dream. Your old friends are going to think it's weird. You don't run with us anymore. You don't want to drink with us anymore. You don't want to hang out with us anymore. You've been warned, and you've been warned, and you've been warned in your conscience. You've been warned by other people. You've been warned by consequences. The companion of fools will be destroyed. In the back, there's a beautiful mulberry tree that all the kids, they play under in the playground. And we use it for shade. It's right by the volleyball. There was another tree just this big in the middle of that field. But we needed that field to play flag football and to play soccer, whatever we wanted to play, and to have people park back there. And so it was a big old tree, probably been there 100 years. No exaggeration. Big, huge tree. And I remember going to the city and asking them, hey, do we have permission? Do we need permission or a permit to cut down the tree? It's on our property, but it's an old tree. It's a beautiful tree, and we just need that land. And here in beautiful Jurupa Valley, Rubino, they didn't really care what we did with their land. They're like, oh, your land, you can do whatever you want with it. You wouldn't need a permit. They go, nah, you don't need, not around here, you know. So we just hacked down the tree, and it was cut down. I can still remember seeing the stump. It must have been weird for people that lived in this neighborhood that tree is gone. I remember when my grandpa went to be with the Lord, I remember that the obituary read, he was like a strong oak tree. And I get it. It's not like, it's just, there was a presence. And maybe you've had a presence your whole life. And maybe you're used to that strength. Maybe you're used to those branches and you got a good job and you got a good family and you're enjoying life. I got to warn you, the big tree of Babylon got cut. It got warned. It didn't heed the warning. And then he lost his mind. Jot down first Kings chapter 13. It's a bizarre story about a man of God that prophesies and then gets struck down by a lion. And you're scratching your head going, how does this story make sense? Because if the prophet disobeyed and got punished, how much more for the king and common people? In 2 Kings chapter 20, you see Hezekiah, he oversteps the line, he's smitten with leprosy. Deuteronomy chapter 34, you see Moses just takes one step out of bounds and he's forbidden to enter the promised land during his life. In Daniel chapter 5, Nebuchadnezzar is dead and his son is reigning on the throne. And then his son is not like his dad. He's much worse than his dad. His son's having this huge party. And he goes and he grabs all the treasures that were in Jerusalem. All the silver and gold, all the basins that were once in God's temple. And he starts drinking out of them and mocking them. And all of a sudden the hand of God starts writing on the wall. And everybody's in awe. There's a floating hand carving into the wall. And he says, I'll give a fortune if anybody can interpret it. I'll give you new clothes and gold and silver. Make you so important. And none of the wise men knew. None of the magicians knew. None of the partiers knew. But the young king's mother said, there's a man in your kingdom named Daniel. And he could interpret dreams for your father. Call on him. And he said, Daniel, if you can translate this, I'll pay you a fortune. He says, no, you won't. You're not going to be around to pay anything. He says, I'll tell you what it says. It says, mini, mini, tekel, parasol. In other words, you've been weighed, you've been measured, and you've been found wanting. Today you will die. And that night, the new king was murdered. And a new king would arise. But as he goes to interpret it, he looks at the king and he said, how dare you drink out of these vessels? You knew what happened to your father. You knew he lost his mind. You helped cover it up. You knew that when he didn't give glory to the God of Israel, that God punished him. And what do you think you're doing? I mean, he chews him out in front of everybody. And he says, you knew better. At some point, my friends, we got to say, I knew better. Maybe